Patil sir?
Yes, sir.
One second, sir.
A very pleasant morning to all. Today, we are very happy to inaugurate a 3-day faculty development program on information security. The resource persons for these 3 days would be Dr. C.M. Patil, Professor and Head, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, who would be briefing us about biometrics. On behalf of the organizing committee, I wholeheartedly welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
On the second day, we will have a session. On the second day, we will have a session on Associate Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
We will have a session on Medical Image Security by Mr. Kiran, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering on the third day. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Now, we will start the first day's session. I request Dr. C.M. Patil to take over the session.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. Is it audible and visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A very good morning, and thanks for organizing this FDP and inviting me as a resource person for the first day workshop, information security. So why this information is so secure, like in military or in defense? I think in September 11, World Trade Center, it crashes. So all these things leads to what information. So that's why the information which is going to be secured. So that's why the theme information security. So for information security, we need biometrics. So there are so many biometrics are available, like face, fingerprint, iris, palm print, so vagera vagera. So many biometrics are available. So before moving on to this biometrics, first I would like to brief out what is image processing. So why is it so important? So based on image processing or based on the signals only, we are going to capture the biometrics data, or we are going to capture the features from that. So we're going to capture the data. So first, so what is image processing? So these are the contents which I'm going to discuss today. So first, so vision. So vision is the most powerful and dominant sense among all other human senses, right? See, observe this picture. So he's weaving something, right? So one picture represents 1,000 words. So the saying like this, one picture represents thousands of words. As per the survey, so vision, as per the survey, picture gives more memory. If I say Aishwarya Rai or recent film actress, so suddenly what you will recall, isn't it? So this is what the picture, this is what the vision here. Next, image over a text. See, which gives so many information. When you see the image, which represents or which gives about so many information, it's a risk, business risk. So on rope, the man is walking on the rope. See, visual information conveyed in the form of images gives better impact than textual information. See, that's why the students are remembering the movie stories rather than the first sem, second sem syllabus. So that's why visual information conveyed in the form of images gives better impact than textual information. Next, what is this image processing actually? Image processing is the collective name for techniques used to extract information from digital images or to manipulate them to render variations of the input image. See, when you capture an image, so then you have to process it. Either you should extract the information for security, or later that information is going to be recovered. So for all these things, image should be processed. Why this processing is required? So in order to capture the original data. So whatever we want to extract an information, for that process an image. Normally, image either it may be one dimensional or two dimensional or three dimensional. Images are in the form of pixels. So later we will see what is that image it is. Okay, so some more popular techniques which make use of the camera as a sensor to capture an image. Okay, why image processing? Why do we process an image? Image processing involves changing the nature of an image in order to either improve its pictorial information for human interpretation, render it more suitable for machine perception. In order to understand the machine, for that we need to process an image. Images are in the form of pixels. Now see what actually the image processing. See this image processing an input image. So we are going to manipulate this input image here. See, just by clicking on this, see here, this is what when we process an image, see this input image, we have processed that image and we have manipulation of image resulting in another image. So this is how it looks like. See the beauty of image processing here. The blur image can be reframed it to the original image it is. So this is an image processing. Some research in image processing. Research and development of image processing technology have advanced very rapidly in the past decade only. The concept of image processing is very old, but described and applied in different ways. So let us have a panoramic view of image processing. Starting from Ramayana and Mahabharata. So during those days only, this image processing was introduced. We will take one example like Ramayana. See here, in our epic Ramayana and Mahabharata, especially during a war field, many a times the warrior used to become invisible, though they were present. I think everybody have an experience that, like how suddenly the clouds are going to be changed, sudden rains will come. See, now the Pushpaka Vimana also used to become invisible. Now it is visible, right? When I press, this becomes an invisible by just chanting a mantras. So in olden days, they chant a mantra. So it is going to be invisible. So immediate rainfall, immediate clouds. Okay. So all these things are image processing only. See here, now Pushpaka Vimana is present. Now if I press, so this is image processing. It becomes invisible. This is image processing. Next, coming to the one more example here. Just chanting a mantra, so immediately the atmosphere is going to be covered, the entire atmosphere. So that light falling on the object gets absorbed and never reflects back. See here. This is how the clouds. And one more thing here, by chanting one or more mantra, so they are going to reserve the atmosphere. So the cloud should not move there. So automatically, watermarking technique. So this is an watermarking technique. So nowadays, what we call it as. So in the olden days only, the image processing was introduced, but we have not known that. So now we are dealing with what actually this image processing is. Next, some physically achieved image processing here. Recently, the airport authority. So this is come under biometrics here. The airport authority had announced that there will not be any more physical check from the security. They are introducing the soft X-ray imaging, which enables them to see through the cloths for the hidden arms. So see here, observe here, this one. No preventive pads are available to cover specific regions of the body. So this is what the physically achieved image processing technique is. So rather than checking each person one by one, so just they introducing the soft X-ray imaging techniques, so which enables. So what are all he has hidden his arms, so everything. So everything is going to be clear there. Next, there's three types of image processing algorithm: the low level, middle level, and higher level. The image processing algorithms can be classified into 3 different categories. At the lowest level, it deals with about only the pixels, raw pixels. See here, this is what the original image and these are the raw pixels here. Algorithms deals directly with about the raw pixels values only. Image denoising and edge detection are the good example for what the low level image processing. Next, coming to the middle level, see here. So the middle level algorithms, only the cropping technique. So utilizes the low level. From the low level, it is going to be segmented. See here, I'm going to sketch. I'm going to draw the curve structure here. Only thing is what, see here, the curve is segmented here. See here, the background is what? The background is removed. So this is what the middle level algorithm. Next, coming to the higher level algorithms, make use of what? The low level, middle level. Then we are going to extract about the features here. Example here, face recognition. Only what? We are extracting about the features of the face. First thing is what? In the low level, we are dealing with about the pixel. In the middle level, we are going to crop that. We are going to mask the entire the background. Only we are going to crop that the face image. In the higher level, we are going to extract about the particular features. High-level algorithms are handwriting recognition, face recognition, and machine vision algorithms. See here. So whatever we are going to write, so that's going to be what recognized over there. So all these things are what? It is higher-level algorithms. So mainly the image processing algorithms are classified into the lower level, middle level, and higher level. All these things leads to what? Image processing. So with these, okay, one more, some more. This is also what one of the biometrics we can call it as. So presently, what we attendance consuming, right? Thumb impression at the entrance of the class. If it fails, if the attendance has to be taken every hour. Fix a camera in the classroom when the teacher presses the button which takes the thumb impression of the teacher and recognize others' faces. That means the students' faces. So it is going to be very easy to take an attendance here. So this is also one of the challenging one it is. Some more classroom applications here. This has a face detection of the students and recognition all the faces and taking an attendance. This involves low level, middle level, high level. So for the attendance here. Next, coming to the one more example, electronic digital board. Whatever we are going to write, this convert the syllabus that is covered in each session into a report form with reference to earlier submitted lesson plan for verification by HOD or principal. See the lesson plan. So whatever you are going to give to the HOD earlier. So later what I'm going to cross verify. So if we have an electronic digital board on a particular day, which topic the faculty has covered. So and so. See here, they convert the syllabus that is covered in each session into a report form. Each session, which is going to be, for each week, I'm going to the consolidated report, I can get it, so I can cross verify. So whatever the faculty who has given earlier the lesson plan and what actually he is doing, like. So this is one more example for application of image processing. This involves image processing and pattern recognition. Why don't you think a novel products like, in an image processing here? Normally, when we go to garment shop to buy garments, we select a few of them and every time we go to trial room and wear and we check it whether it is adjusted to me or the color or the size, whether it is a slim or normal, whatever it is, okay? And we should ask the others, is it suitable for me? Is it okay for me with respect to color? Everything we ask. Instead that, we can develop a image processing and pattern recognition oriented software product in which the person who intends to buy the garment, who is going to stand in front of a camera of the computer, then automatically it selects the garment of his choice in the database. Without wearing the cloth, without wearing it. So automatically it selects the garment when you stand in front of the camera of the computer. So automatically it selects the color, the size, everything. Then your image is going to be what? Rotate, sits and stands. Then you can decide on the suitability of your selection. So this is a novel product. So normally what we will do if you go to garment shop, we go to trial room and we walk there, here and there, we'll check what both front and backs, everything, right? Instead of that, when you stand in front of a camera of the computer, automatically it selects. So whatever the image you have, it is going to be walk, rotate, sits, and stands. Then it decides the suitability of your selection. So this is also a novel product in an image processing. Next, coming to the one more best example for ladies here, makeup. So each time what trial and error, which color select with respect to sarees or with respect to salwars, whatever it is. This is what an image in painting and the reconstruction of an image. In the same way, so even the same, or whatever we have discussed here. So when she sits in front of the camera of the computer, automatically it selects the lipstick color, whether is it a dark or light with respect to the dress sense. Okay. So this is all about the image processing. So normally image processing refers it is we are going to process a particular image. That means we are going to capture, we are going to select a particular image. So in order to select, in order to extract the features, we have three levels of image processing: low level, middle level, and high level. In the low level, only it deals with respect to pixels. In the middle level, it's going to be crop. That is what image segmenting. And in the third level, it's going to be what extracting a feature either for recognition purpose or to reconstruct out the original image. Now, coming to the biometrics. The term biometrics, which is derived from the Greek word bio, it's a life, and metric to measure. So this is what the biometrics. I will repeat. Biometrics refers it as a Greek word bio, it is life, metric to measure. Whatever we are going to give a biometric for authentication purpose, so that is going to be what it's going to be what the measure it is. Next, biometrics can be regarded as the automated measurement and enumeration of biological characteristics in order to obtain a plausible quantitative value that with high confidence and can distinguish between individuals. And this biometric is the science and technology of measuring and analyzing the biological data. So biometric is the science and technology of measuring and analyzing the biological data. Whatever the data which is going to be collected through a sensor, it is going to be measured and analyze a particular data. So this is what a biometrics. Bio it is life, metric it's going to be measured it is. Next. Some biometric technologies, it verifies or recognizes the identity of a living person. Best example, your face recognition or iris recognition, thumb recognition. Whenever you're going to enter either to the office or to the classrooms, whatever it is. So you're going to give the tag ID. So earlier they used to give a tag. So now it is automatically either you can give a face or thumb or iris, whatever it is. Automatically it recognizes the identity of you. This biometric, it has got tremendous accuracy as well as speed here, and it provides high level of security for sensitive information. It provides high level security since whatever the data we are going to collect, it's going to be the person, authenticated person going to collect the data. So one cannot fraud it. Okay, it helps prevent fraudulent use of ATMs also. Nowadays, what ATMs we are using a pins here. So later, in the later days, this ATM is also this pin is going to be removed. So later, what they are going to introduce either a face recognition or an iris recognition. Okay, so these are all some of the biometric devices what they are using here. Sometimes it is invasive techniques, non-invasive techniques. The one who is giving iris, it is a non-invasive technique, means without touching the sensor. With respect to this, the palm print or the complete hand is putting on the sensor. This is what it is invasive technique. Means invasive refers it is touching with respect to sensor. Non-invasive techniques without touching the sensor. So these are the biometric devices which are available now. face recognition, that is the thumb or the fingers. So this is the thumb recognition, these are the fingers. So all these are some of the biometric devices which are available currently. Classifications of biometric, as I said, which has got physiological as well as behavior. Physiological, just giving about the traits of biometric like iris, retina, fingerprint, DNA, face, and hand. Behavioral with respect to movements here, gait recognition, signature, speaker. So all these things are what? Behavioral recognition. Combination of this both physiological and behavioral, which gives rise to what? The voice. Keystroke, signature, voice, which gives rise to what? The behavior. Combination of both physical as well as behavioral, voice. So these were some of the classifications of biometric technology. So there are actually two types, physiological and behavioral. In that physiological, it is iris recognition, fingerprint, face, retina, DNA, hand, and in behavioral, it is gait recognition, signature recognition, and the speaker recognition. The pictorial approach for the classifications of biometrics. Next, why it is more accurate biometric? A good biometric is characterized, which is use of a features, means how we are going to collect the features here. Biometric is, it must be universal. Each person should have a specific biometric trait. Each person is having about his own unique biometric trait, and it is unique. It is just a distinguishable. Any two people should be sufficiently different in terms of characteristics. Even though if you take twins, they have got a different characteristics, and it should be easily collectible. Biometric traits must be what? Obtainable, and it should be stable. Biometric traits, whatever we are going to collect, it must be what? It remains invariable over a time, allowing for repeatable measures. When once you collect the data till the death of a person, it won't changes. If it is going to be changes, that's what traits remains invariable over a time. If it is keeps on changing, then every time we should allow him to what? Take a data, store it, train it, and then it should be stored in a particular data. Then what? Again, we should collect the data and then train everything. It is going to be what? Repeat the process. That's why whatever we are going to collect a biometric trait, it must be stable. Next, a biometric system can be divided into two stages: enrollment mode and identification mode. First, we should enroll. So whatever the data what we are going to give. Biometric sensor, it scans the person physiology. Either you can give a face, or you can give an iris, or you can give a what? Thumb, or you can give a what? The fingers, or you can give a what? The palm print. The scan with the sensor, which is going to scan a particular biometric trait, and it is going to be stored in a what? Database. Later on, there are so many steps are available, which is going to be pre-process everything. Automatically, it's going to be stored in a what? That we call it as a template. Later, a feature extractor processes the what? The representation to generate a template. Whatever we are going to give the data, so that is going to be scanned and it's going to be stored in a database. That database, what we call it as a template. In order to what? Identification model. So this was enrollment model. And coming to the identification model, so whatever the data which is stored in the template form, next the identification stage. Again, what? The sensor captures the characteristics of the person to be identified, convert it into the same format as the template, and this resulting template is fed into a feature vector. Later, what? This feature vector compares with respect to what? The stored data. If it is whatever the stored data along with the what? The identification data, it is going to be matched, then we said that it is then to determine whether the two templates match or not. If it is authenticated, then it is going to be approved, otherwise it's going to be rejected. So we call it as false acceptance rate and false rejection ratio also. See, whatever the data during the what? Enrollment stage, So the previous slide, during the enrollment stage, sorry, it got stuck, I think. During the enrollment stage, it scans the person physiognomy and to create a digital representation. Later on, it's going to be represented in the form of feature vector. This feature vector, which is going to be compared with what? During the what? Identification stage. When this feature vector matches with this feature vector, if it match, then the person is going to be authenticated. Otherwise, it is going to be rejected. Okay, some of the identifiable biometric characteristics, biological traces like DNA, blood, saliva, physiological fingerprint, as I said earlier, as I discussed with earlier, physiological, behavioral, and combination of both physiological and behavioral. Physiological fingerprint, eye irises, retina, hand palm, and geometry, behavioral dynamic signature, gait, keystroke, lip motion, etc. Combination of both physiological behavior, it is going to be voice. Now, among all the biometrics traits, iris has got a rich and more accurate biometrics. I will tell you why iris has got more accurate biometric trait. Okay, now, why iris? Data rich physical structure, about 100 identifying features. So this is what the diagram shows, the iris here. So later I'm going to discuss what actually this iris it is. So this is what the black hole it is. So next to this, all these, whatever it is representing, this represents what? Iris features. 100 identifying features it is. And this iris is a permanent biometric. And it is stability over a time. It is not going to be changed till the death of the person. So that's why iris is more accurate compared to other biometric traits like fingerprint, face, everything. It is going to be changed with respect to variations in ages, with respect to climate conditions. But the iris has got more accurate, wonderful features. It has got like hundreds of thousands of identifying features we have in iris. So that's why it is iris is a more accurate one, and it is a permanent biometric. It is stability over a time. It is not time invariable. It's not going to be changed over a time, over a period of time. It remains same. And it has inherent isolation and protection from external environment also. Even though if you are done with a cataract surgery, or sometimes when you see so whenever the eyes becomes red, so then also what, the iris remains same here. It's not going to be changed. Or sometimes during the studying, if you night out, so then the eyes becomes very red. So whenever if you are in outside, so whenever you travel from one place to another person, automatically sometimes the eyes are going to be red. So even though the iris patterns are not going to be changed. And see here, 1 in 10 to the power 78 chance of someone having an identical iris as you. So the human population is 10 to the power 10 only. So not 10 to the power 78, it is 10 to the power 10 only. So that's why I insisting that iris is more accurate compared to other biometric traits. As far as I concerned, iris has got more it's more accurate it is. And user acceptability is also a reasonable it is. Aram se what we can capture the data. So that's why I have taken an iris in a biometrics. So iris has got more information security. Okay, next. See, cost, this is the plot which shows why iris has got more accurate here. Cost is directly related to accuracy and vice versa here. See here, iris, both accuracy wise as well as cost wise. See here, voice, face, finger, signature, retina. All these biometric traits, whatever we are going to collect, this like voice, face, finger, we can manipulate these data. Like face, We have two movies. In Hindi it is Aks. It's a reflection. So by Amitabh Bachchan and Manoj Bajpayee, and Face Off movie in English. So we can manipulate from one face to another face. And even voice also we can mimicry it. Even finger also we can do it. Signature. So forgery we can do it. So all those things we can manipulate. Whereas in iris, you cannot manipulate it. So that's why iris has got the highest priority here. Iris has got more and higher accuracy than compared to what other biometric traits. So this is what the comparison of among different types of biometric characteristics. See here, biometric characteristics: face, fingerprint, voice, retina, signature, height. See in the table it is universality, unique, collectible, circumvention, all are high. That's why iris has got more priority, and iris is more accurate compared to other biometric traits. Why this iris biometric got really famous it is. See why, and I took the iris also here. Iris biometric got really famous in the last Afghan girl story. In 1984, in a National Geographic photographer, Steve McCurry, took a picture of a little Afghan girl called Sharbat Ghulam in refugee camp in Pakistan. She lost. And this was practically implemented in Afghanistan to recognize a girl missing for 17 years under the Taliban. After 17 years, through her iris recognition, she is recognized. So that's why this iris biometric got really famous. And this was the photography for the National Geographic channel also. And some of the, one more thing, even though cataract surgery also, the iris part, it won't change us here. See here, before and after cataract surgery, it won't change us, the iris patterns. Again, false biometric performance. Again, we are dealing with false acceptance rate and false rejection ratio. The false acceptance rate is a chance that someone other than you is granted access to your account, incorrectly verifying or identifying an unauthorized person. Low false acceptance rate is the most important when security is the priority. So that's why iris is. Next, false rejection ratio, failing to verify authorized person. This is what false rejection ratio. So next, what actually this iris, the introduction to human iris. Observe this picture carefully. This is what the iris pattern here, immediate to the pupil, and this white part is what we call it as sclera, and this is what we call it as eyelids or eyelashes. So immediate to the pupil, what are all the structure we are observing? This entire structure, what we call it as iris structure. Iris is a membrane in the eye responsible for controlling the amount of light reaching the retina. The pupil is circular opening located in the center of the iris of the eye. This is what the pupil. And the white outer part is what? The sclera. Okay. So what are all the unique patterns of the iris? The unique pattern on the surface of the iris is formed during the first year of a life. And the formation of the unique pattern of the iris is random and not related to any genetic factor also. Even though in twins, sometimes DNA matches, whereas in case of iris, it doesn't match us. Even the left and right eye irises are also different, for your information. Due to epigenetic nature of iris patterns here, identical twin possess uncorrelated iris patterns. For identical twins, sometimes DNA matches, whereas in iris, it has got uncorrelated iris patterns. The two eyes of an individual contain completely independent of iris patterns, both your left as well as right eye. See the formation of iris here. The iris is formed in the beginning of the pregnancy during the first 3 months of its gestation, and its structure is completed in the 8th month. The complete structure of the iris which is going to be completed the 8th month only. And the iris is formed during the pregnancy of the first 3 months of gestation, and its structure is completed in the 8th month only. So that's why when once the iris is formed, it won't changes till the death of a person. That's why iris patterns are stable over a time. It is not going to be changed. Iris recognition. The process of identifying a person by analyzing the pattern of the iris pattern. So when you are going to capture the data and you are going to analyze this process, what we call it as iris recognition. And it provides an unmatched identification technology. Especially for iris recognition, it uses highly accurate algorithm with very little chance of occurrence of an error. Normally, it is used in large-scale identification implementation. Nowadays, I mean, many of the industries are implemented this iris recognition. Normally in airports. Now, the iris is also not subject to the effects of aging, which means it remains in a stable form from about the age of 1 until death. I'll repeat that. The iris is also not subject to the effects of aging, which means it remains in a stable form from about the age of 1 until death. Until the death of a person, the iris patterns are not going to be changed. Even though now the use of a glasses or a contact lenses has a little effect on the representation of the iris, but it doesn't interfere with respect to the recognition technology. So these are what iris patterns. This is the cross-sectional overview of iris pattern. This is what an iris here, and this in the black with white dots represents its noise it is. This is what the pupil boundary and iris boundary. See, in between this black with respect to this boundary, we call it as iris structure. Thousands of structures are available like furrows, ridges, crypt, sclera. So there's so many features are available. So this is the iris part, and it's the cross-sectional structure of an iris. Some of the iris image databases are available in the Google. All are in the form of, either in the form of JPEG, BMP, TIFF, or PNG in any other format. So Cassia iris database, UPAL iris database, Phoenix, so many iris databases are available. Some examples of Cassia iris image database. So some are with respect to noise. So all these are what a little bit challenging, especially in the recognition part. Some with respect to noise due to eyelids or eyelashes, or sometimes when the closes the eyes. So these are some of the iris image database, and even some color databases are also available. So during capturing an iris, so sometimes it is tilted. Sometimes it is with the noise like eyelids or eyelashes. Sometimes it is background noise. All these are related about the noises here. Next, coming to the design and implementation part, it is. So one simple example I have taken here, iris recognition. It is. First, we are going to capture an iris image here. So this is what the first one is. What it is, enrollment stage. And this is the matching, or you can call it as identification stage. Image acquisition mean you are going to capture a particular biometric trait. Here I have taken an iris as an example, or you can take a face, or a fingerprint, or a thumb, or a fingers, or a palm print. Sometimes you can go for a multi-model also, like face and iris, or sometimes you can take thumb and a face. So it's left to you. Design and implementation. Image, once you acquire an image, So in order to acquire an image, capture an iris. So obviously since what it has got highest accurate, so hence it requires a high resolution camera. When once the image is acquired, then localization and normalization. What is this localization and normalization? That means it is going to be what this localization and normalization and image enhancement. These two represents pre-processing steps. Any background noise, so that's going to be eliminated. So in that localization and normalization, we are going to draw two circles there. One with respect to pupil boundary, one with respect to iris boundary. In between this pupil boundary and iris boundary, we are going to capture what a particular data. We are going to capture what the features with respect to what the iris. Later on, that image is going to be enhanced. That means what that image is going to be cropped. Only the circle part. In that circle part, we are going to extract a particular features of an iris. As I said earlier, thousands of features are available in an iris. So that features are going to be stored in a database. That database, what we call it as a template. So this is what it is, an enrollment stage. During the identification stage, the same steps are going to be followed. Here, only thing is what we are going to compare the features. Whatever the feature extracted during a training phase, and whatever the feature extracted during a enrolling phase or during the identification phase, both the features are going to be compared. If and only if it matches, then we call it as it is a genuine, or it is called it as authenticated. Yes, he's an authenticated person, or else it is false acceptance or a false rejection ratio. So this is how the design and implementation part it is. So this is the main, just a simple block diagram for biometric recognition process. You can take any of the biometric. Here I have taken an iris biometric system. Next, moving on to the once you acquire an image. So this is what it is once we acquire an image. So these are some of the steps, some of the steps here: localization and normalization. So we are going to pre-process some steps here. We are going to see here. This is what the threshold we have taken. We have removed the background of that. After filtering a noise, only what we are drawing at the boundaries here. See here, fitting a circle. See there, I observe this picture here. There are two circles I have drawn here. One for pupil boundary, one for iris boundary here. Using circular rough transforms. We can draw two circles. In between these two circles, there is an iris structure. See here, I have drawn two circle. I hope it is visible. I think two circle. See here, see the databases here. One is with respect to tilted, one with respect to eyes, hairs fall on the eyes, eyelids, eyelashes. Sometimes eye is merged there. Some have a small eyes. All these things should be considered. So this is what the first process is: pre-processing, localization, and normalization of an iris. Once you localize an iris boundary, see, observe here. See this one, that is 45 degree. See this one. See the circles there. Okay, this see here, these eyelids and eyelashes are noises here. Once you draw an inner and outer circle, we are going to extract this. We are going to segment this part it is. So this is what the localization and normalization portion. Next, coming to the image normalization here. There's so many transforms or so many techniques are available. So how actually this is going to be normalized? See here. Once you draw this a particular circles, that means inside a circle and outside the circle. In between these two circles, we are going to normalize this. This particular circular portion, which is going to be normalized with respect to the rectangular portion it is. From a Cartesian to rectangular coordinates. From Cartesian to rectangular coordinate. Whatever the circle portions is available, this circle portion which is going to be converted into rectangular portion. What we call it as Cartesian to what? Rectangular coordinates, or polar to what? It is rectangular to coordinates. See the circle which is going to be converted in the form of what? The rectangular portion here. I repeat this circular portion, that means inner circle and outer circle. This is what yellow line indicates. So this is what an iris structure. So this is what it is. This yellow line, circular line represents a what? This is what an horizontal line here. This complete circle structure here, this is internal circle and external circle. These circle are going to be converted in the form of rectangle, polar to rectangular coordinate. Polar to rectangular coordinate. So after this, through some techniques here, so we are going to remove the noises here. So whatever the edge, whatever the thickness part, that we call it as noises here. This is going to be removed here. Okay, now see here. Observe this figure and observe this here, eyelash segmentation here. See, when you observe this, the feature extraction, so whatever the dotted portion represents here, it is feature, feature extraction. All these things see here, eyelids, eyelashes represents a noise here. Eyelids. So this is what its masked portion is, what we call it as the noise here. From polar to rectangular, we are going to convert polar to rectangular, and we are extracting what particular features there. See in the previous slide, see whatever this dark thick line indicates, all these things represents a noise here. So this is what eyelids and eyelashes here. And this part represents a what? It contains a what? More number of features here. Only thing see here, only thing is what? This is what we are extracted here. See in the first, second and third figure, this is what it extracted. From this again, once again, rectangular coordinates to polar coordinates. This is going to be masked here. This is going to be masked. This is one way of extracting a feature in the iris. This structure is an unique. This feature which is going to be stored in a template form. What we are going to extract from an iris. This is what an image processing. Image processing means what? In an iris, we have processed and we have extracted out the features. We have applied both, all the levels here, low level, middle level, and higher level. In the higher level, we have extracted the features and we have stored it in a template. See here, interested regions. See here, in the upper regions, there are more number of noises. In general, the portion of the iris closest to the pupil contain most of the pattern information, and the part away from the pupil, immediate to the pupil, it contains what? More number of information. Closest to the pupil, most of the pattern information. See, near the what? The outer boundary represents little or no information. Immediate to the pupil represents pattern information. Next, one more thing here, rather than drawing an inner and outer circle, so most of the time the iris, through eyelids, eyelashes, sometimes extracting a feature, it's going to be a bit difficult. So for that, we are going to use both the left and right part of an iris here. Rather than drawing a circle, we are going to draw the rectangular portion here. Drawing inner circle boundary and drawing the rectangular portion. Immediate to the pupil contains more number of information. See, normally eye represents sometimes upper eyelids or the lower eyelids. It leads to noise. So in between the left and right, so we don't have much noise here. So this is also one of the algorithm. We can extract the features from the left and right part of a pupil. So this is what the technique we have used, image cropping here, both left and as well as right. See, this is what the results here. Observe carefully here. This is what the mask one here, immediate to the pupil. I hope it is visible, I think. So this is what the information contained, the extracted features here. So this feature are going to be stored in the template format. See, whatever the mask one represents here, it is what it is, the noises here, eyelids, eyelashes, whatever it is. See it, more number of noise, eyelids, eyelashes. Okay, so immediate to the pupil, it represents what? The iris pattern. See here, left and right. Even though if it is upper and lower, upper eyelids and lower eyelids, or upper eyelashes or the lower eyelashes, so we are drawing out the rectangular box on either side of the pupil, so that we can extract out the particular data. Next, how actually the features are going to be extracted. There are so many feature techniques are available. So you can use statistical measures, or you can use wavelets, whatever. Once the feature are going to be extracted, the interested features. So this is what an interested feature here. Once the feature are going to be extracted, so this is going to be stored in template. What we call it as template. This template, which is going to be stored in a database, this is an enrollment stage. I'm discussing it with respect to what? Enrollment stage. Once it is enrolled, once this data is going to be stored in a template, again the same steps are going to be followed. So observe this block diagram here. See here, as I show the as I discussed, image acquisition through a high resolution camera, we are going to capture the data. Localization and normalization. That means what? We are drawing out the pupil boundary as well as an iris boundary. So in between the pupil and iris, we are extracting a features. So this is what localization and normalization refers here. Extracting a boundary. That means using our circular Rf transform, we are segmenting or we are extracting out those two circles. Once those two circles are extracted, then the next thing is what? Image enhancement. That means what? From polar to rectangular coordinate, Cartesian to what? The rectangular coordinate. So in that rectangular coordinate, we are extracting out particular features there. So whatever the noise contains, which is going to be masked. Once it is masked here, then the next thing is what? Extracting a feature. This feature extraction, once the feature are going to be extracted, that feature are going to be stored in a database. So this is what a database. This database, what we call it as template. Once it is stored in a database, again what? Next process is what? Identification module. The same steps are going to be followed. The same steps are going to be followed in the identification module also. Image acquisition, localization, normalization, enhancement, feature extraction. Once both the enrollment and identification matches, then we call it as the person is authenticated. So this is what I repeat the steps here. Boundary detection, locating a what? Inner and outer boundary. This is what the pupil and outer boundary here. Drawing a two circles there. Two circles. Using our circular Rf transform setters. And one more thing, as I said, the image normalization from Cartesian to polar coordinate, whatever the circle form, which is going to be converted in the form of rectangle. See, this yellow part represents what? Whatever the circle one, that circle is going to be in the form of what? Rectangle. Whatever the thick patterns are available, we call it as it is the noises here. So whatever the if there are no edges there, then we call it as which contains some information. So this is what an information contained here. And these eyelids are all representing out the noises here. Representing a noise. See this whatever the noise is there, which is going to be masked here. So only this portion is what we are capturing the data. So this is what immediate to the pupil, it contains a what? Rich information in iris structure. Immediate to the pupil, it has got what? Rich texture information. This is what the rich information texture it is. So they see here, interested regions here. This is what an interested regions here. So this complete portion, we call it as iris features. Thousands of features are available, like cryptos, furrows, ridges, everything are available. It is. So this can be stored. Normally, these features are in the form of vectors. And one more thing, as I said here, to avoid this eyelids, both upper eyelids as well as the lower eyelids, sometimes it is masked. So for that, we are going to draw two rectangular boxes on either side of the pupil. So this is what it is. It's just a trial and error method. So we got a very good results. It is just drawing see here, left and on either side of the pupil, we have drawn two rectangular boxes here. And here, compared to previous one, I mean drawing inner and outer boundary, so we have got more noises here. But whereas in this case, so here it is less noise. It is here it won't affect the upper eyelids as well as the lower eyelids. So these are the results here. So whatever the portion eyelids are, it is going to be masked. See, I hope it is a little bit bright here, and these are the features what we are going to collect this data. Once this feature are going to be extracted, this feature are going to be stored in a database, what we call it as template. So many methods are available, like statistical features, statistical measures, SIFT, scale invariant feature transforms, wavelet transforms, so many, and contourlet transforms, lifting transforms. So many transformations are available to extract a particular features. So this is the feature which is going to be stored in the form of vector. So in that feature, again, what we are concentrating, so important features present in a feature vector. Once the feature vectors are stored, once the feature vectors are extracted and stored in a database, then the next thing is the matching. So matching plays an important role, whether the enrollment data as well as the identification data, whether it matches or not. So many matching techniques are available. So in that, Euclidean measures. So distance between Euclidean distance is the one way of defining the closeness of match between two iris features templates. It is calculated by measuring between the two vectors x and y. So Euclidean measures and separable powers and distance. There's so many distance techniques are available. So to match, and once it matches, it gives rise to authenticated persons. So I hope whatever we have discussed in the biometrics, why I choose an iris. Iris has got more accurate biometrics since the iris is formed, and once it is formed during the pregnancy. So for the first 3 months of gestation, and it is completed in the month of 8th. And once it is formed till the death of the person, it won't changes. So that's why I feel iris biometrics got really famous and accurate. So compared to all other biometrics, nowadays instead of unimodal, so many multimodal biometric techniques are available, like face and fingerprint, face and iris. So rather than individual biometric, that means if one biometric fails, so for the backup, for the redundancy purpose, they are taking one more. And one more thing, the accuracy wise also. If you want more accurate, then we are going with the multimodal biometrics. So far I discussed about unimodal biometrics. If you want, you can go for multimodal. Multimodal, again, there are two steps are there. In the multimodal refers it is either you can take the two features or two biometric traits, like what I discussed here. So the two biometric traits, either you can take face and iris. Two features refers it is in a single biometric only. You can take the multiple features. So that is also the multimodal. Normally multimodal refers it is taking two multi biometric traits. So this is what the multimodal traits. So I thank all the participants for patient hearing. I hope the time also, exactly 1 hour they have given. So from 10:30 to 11:30, it's time up it is. Okay. Thank you one and all. Thank you. Any queries, please raise in the chat box.